Hello, welcome to this live coding session by Behind the Code. Today we will welcome Gwendal, a hacker which is also a freelancer at Yogosha. So we will perform the live coding session and then at the end we will answer your questions on Twitch.
Hi guys, I'm Gwendal. So I'm a bug bounty hunter and I'm also a freelancer at Yogosha. So Yogosha is a French bug bounty platform. Bug bounty is the idea to create a relations between ethical hackers and companies that have security needs. So today I'm going to show you some of the most common vulnerabilities on the web application and try to explain how it works and how to fix them.
So first, Gwendal, could you explain to us what is a black hat?
So a black hat is basically a malicious user that will try to exploit vulnerabilities in your system in order to grab some data or just for fun. So for the purpose of the test, I created a web application which is vulnerable, of course, and I will show you how black hackers can exploit those vulnerabilities.
Okay, so you will start with a Github issue, right?
Yes, right. So the first issue is about leaks of credentials on GitHub. So it's a very popular vulnerability. It's not so hard to exploit, but it's still common and it can be very, very critical for your system.
Can you maybe explain what this vulnerability could cause?
So yes, of course, if you deploy your credentials on GitHub, on your public repository on GitHub, then these credentials will be public as well. So a hacker can get them on your public repository and probably could access, like, I don't know, your database or maybe some internal tools you don't want. So then the hacker could grab the data or whatever. So it's very, very critical.
Can you show us on GitHub?
So yes, let me show you. So if I go on GitHub and if I submit these keywords, like so we can see that we have a lot of results. So this result, we have more than 100 pages of results. So this research is about database, WordPress database. So we can find some credentials here and there, and some of them are production credentials, some of them are development credentials or whatever. It can be very, very critical for those people.
So can you show us on the web application you created?
So yes, if we check our application, the garden, we can see that this application has been created by the company Gwendal. So we can check on Google quickly, is this company has a GitHub account? Yeah. And we can check the public repositories. We have one named like our application. And of course, we can access the files. So one of them looks interesting, the config.php. And then we can see that the credentials are here. So now we can try to access the database. And we see that we have access to the database. So yeah. And we have access to the user table, which contains credentials like passwords.
And so do you know real cases of companies who are victims of this?
Yes, so last year we heard about Vevo, who forgot some credentials on their repositories, and they had some big problem with because of that. And we also heard about Snapchat, who rewarded a bug hunter like $15,000 6 months ago because they forgot a web token in their public repository.
And so how can you fix that?
So to fix this, you should avoid to publish your credentials on your repository. So one option is to configure environment variables. So for example here, I will get my credentials from environment variables. So I get the value in my PHP code. Yeah, like this. And then I have to set the values in my web server. So let's say here. That's it. Okay, now reloading the application.
I think you forgot the N in the garden.
So I probably forgot, made a typo somewhere.
On the yeah.
Okay, let's
Sure.
see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it works. And then you can publish your new code. Yes, right. So now let's check again. Yeah, it's okay. So of course you have to remove the old credentials. Yeah, it will be better.
Okay, great. So it means that now your code is safe, right?
Not exactly. You have to check the history of the file because GitHub will keep all the history of every change. So unfortunately, you can find these credentials in the history. So you also have to flush the history. It's a little bit complicated. I'm not going to do it right now, but we will give you a link and a script when the video will be online.
And so can you show us how it could impact our application? This vulnerability?
So now the code is not really, it's not totally safe because the Git files created by Git are still can be deployed in production. It happens sometimes that the developers forgot to remove that files on the production server. So, for example, in our application here, we can access the Git directory. So it can be very bad because this file, some of them contains like usernames or URL, private stuff, and especially if you configure your hooks, which most of the time are shell script, then they can contain some very dangerous information about your system. So it's better to avoid this. So to avoid this, to fix this, you have to prohibit the access to this directory. So for that, we can fix this, for example, in the htaccess directory, file, sorry. We can force 40 to redirect when someone will try to access the .git directory. That's an example. You can also do the same thing in your vhost file here, like this. And then we don't have access to the directory anymore. So I'm going to show you what could happen if you don't do it. So if you have access to the directory, for example, a malicious user can download the file. So let me show you, for example, with this script called git.ph here. We can, for example, try to download. So this script is a shell script. You can find it on GitHub. It's a small script, and with this script, we are able to download the source code of the application. So for example, we can see again the config file here. We can also see the user's file. We can see the PHP code, which is not supposed to be public. Of course, you can also have some, I don't know, SQL dump or stuff like that. So it's very important to fix this. So let me put again the fix. Now, done.
Okay, perfect. So now we've corrected the .git directory. What about the other directories content?
So yes, you're right. If we check the application, the code of the application, then we can see that we have some directories available, like that one. And we have access to the content of this directory. So the files and subdirectories and stuff like that. So it can be very dangerous for your application if you store like SQL dump or server logs or customer invoices or stuff like that. Then they will be public and a malicious user could download them.
So how could a black hat exploit this vulnerability?
So to exploit this, for example, you can, so again, browse the code of the application and try to find the directory manually, like this, like I just did. Like this. But it can be very long to discover all the directories. Another solution is to use a fuzzer. So, for example, I have here that script, which is called wfuzz, which is very, very popular. So I can try, with a good word list, we will be able to discover some directories. Let's try. Yeah, we can see that the script wfuzz is able to find some directories. So for example, the template directory, which contains our PHP templates.
And so how could you fix that?
So to fix this, you should avoid the directory listing of every directory. So you can put the option in your htaccess file again, like this. Yeah, so it's not, the content of the directory is not available anymore. Or you can put the same option in your vhost file. If you have access to it, then like this. And of course, restart the web server. yeah, we don't have access to any directories anymore.
But so now you can see on the screen the version of PHP
Yes, right.
and of your web server, so isn't it a problem?
Yes, you're right. So we can see here the version of Apache and PHP. So it's not a big issue by itself, but it can lead to something very critical. For example, a malicious user could check on internet if an exploit exists for this version. So here, let me try it. If we look for exploit on internet about Apache, we can see that there is many results. So maybe one of them will fit to our version here. Yeah, and we can do the same for PHP, of course.
Okay, but didn't we previously forbid the access to our directory to fix the directory listing vulnerability?
Yes, right. But the second problem is that giving the error 403 is a tip for the hackers. So, and using a good word list again, we can try to guess the directory. So let me show you again with our script. If I go back and wfoods here, let me show you. So we are going to use the same word list. Yeah. Like this. So now we see that our script wfoods finds some directories. So these directories are forbidden, as you can see, 403. But still, it's not because the directory is forbidden that the file inside, the access of the file inside the directory is forbidden as well. So even if you cannot access the directory listing, you can still access the file if you know the name of this file. So for example, here we can see that the script returned 403 for SQL directory. If we're trying to look for inside that directory specifically, then we can see that we can still access the file. You see here we have 200 code, response code. So we can access to the SQL directory, that file. Yes, here. And this file is a SQL dump of the database. So you can see every order, the project, and the users, and the password. So it's a very critical issue. So to fix all of this, the version number and the 403 code and everything, so the best option is to redirect all of this to the same page. Let's say a 404 page, like this. So now every response code 403, 404, or 500 will redirect to the same page, which is 404. And this page 404, you have to set the right response code 404. So now, every time we want access to a forbidden directory, to the .git directory, to a directory that doesn't exist, or whatever, we will have the 404 response code.
Thanks a lot, Gwen. So now could you present the last vulnerability, IDOR?
Yes, so HIDOR, insecure direct object reference, it's a very, very common vulnerability on web application. So as you can see, it's still in the OWASP top 10. So it's number 5, broken access control. So basically, it's a ID to access object to object, so it doesn't belong to you. So basically, user A will be able to access to object who belongs to user B. So let me show you in our application how we can use it. So let's say I connect as user B here. And so I have access to my orders. I have 6 orders. So now let's connect to a private session as user B, for example, here. Yeah. I also have access to my order, so I have 3 orders. As you can see, the names are different. So if we have an IDOR, then maybe user B will be able to access to user A orders. So let's see if, for example, as a user A, I try to check the details of my order number 28. Then I have the date, the name of the customer, which is me, the address, and the credit card number. As user B, I can also check the details of my order, username Bob, address, and credit card. But what if I change here the ID in the URL bar to the order that doesn't belong to me? Then I can still have access to those details. I'm not supposed to, of course. So that order doesn't belong to me, but I can access it. Another problem is that maybe as a non-connected user, so as you can see, I'm not logged in, but I can still have access to the details of the order, even if I'm not connected. So obviously there is a problem here about permission. So to fix this, you have to check that the object you want access, the user who performs the action is the owner of the object. So in our code, in the order details page, we have to be sure that the owner who is connected, the user who is connected, is the owner of the order. So underscore user is connected and the user owner. It's a simple test, and then if not, we will do a redirection to a 404 page. Let's see if it works. Yeah. So now user B doesn't have access to user A orders anymore. So you can think it's not so easy to exploit, but let me quickly show you before we finish. So let me show you. If I reproduce the issue, okay, there is basically 2 ways to access this order. I can change the ID manually in the URL bar, like this. But it can be very long and very tedious. So the idea is to do this automatically. So I can still use wfuse to perform a fusing and to brute force the IDs. Like this. So as you can see, WFUS find a lot of IDs that I will be able to use as a hacker. So no. Number three, yes. Number 5, yes. We can see that Bob has access to many order that is not supposed to be. Yeah. So it's not so hard to exploit that kind of vulnerability, and it's very, very common. It's almost in every web application nowadays. So again, let's put the fix back. And now, okay, Bob doesn't have access to the other orders anymore.
Thanks a lot, Gwendal. So now we'll answer some questions from Twitch during 10 minutes maximum. So the first question is, do you know any other popular vulnerabilities in web application? Gwendal?
Yes, of course, we have many different kind of vulnerabilities in web application. So we have cross-site scripting, SSRF, server-side request forgery, RCE, XXE, and so on. So if you want to learn more about all these vulnerabilities, you can check the OS top 10, and then you will see many different vulnerabilities.
Okay, thanks. Another question, if we use a JS or Symfony framework, are we fully secured or not?
No, it's wrong. It's a wrong idea. This framework will help you for sure to prevent some vulnerability like XSS or SQL injection if you use them very well and very carefully, if you set the good option, but the 100% security doesn't exist. So you have to check everything, and you have to test your system and your web application, no matter if you use a framework or not.
And what if, as a developer, I don't have access to the configuration file of the web server?
Yes, so today I show some fix that you could put in your web server configuration, but of course sometimes the web developer don't have access to that file. So you can ask to your administrator, or you can put the same configuration in the htaccess file. That's fine. You can perform the same action, like remove the indexes function, create environment variables. Of course, if you do that, you have to ignore that file, the htaccess file, to not deploy it in production and in your public repository on GitHub, because you will have the same problem if you publish it. So you better to ignore it.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's all for the questions. Thanks a lot for watching this live coding session. The video, the code snippets, as well as references will be available very soon on our website. Welcome to thejungle.co in the section Behind the Code. Follow us on Twitter to stay tuned about the next live coding sessions.
Bye.